Hello, hello, hel-
Hello.
hello, friends. We are here to talk about new Netflix release. What is its name?
Uh, I don't know.
Okay, we can talk normally now. Okay,
Ray.
yeah. So we are going to talk about new Netflix 2021 anthology film release. Gajraj Rao, Ray, and uh, yeah. So how did you hear about this project, bro?
Normal social media, whatever. Were
Yeah.
you excited? क्या
No, no. If
actually?
you hadn't told me about this, I probably wouldn't have watched this. And like
You didn't know
no,
about it?
first of all, I didn't know it was 4 hours long. Like if I thought it was like an
Oh.
anthology, like Netflix usually does. And
Ah.
yeah, I didn't know who's in it, who's the directors. I saw this guy's photo, Harshvardhan Kapoor's photo. He had posted something about
Yeah,
Ray,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
knew he was in it, but I didn't know anyone else.
No. I saw some clapper board which said Ray sometime in October or November last year. And then it was by this DOP called Anuj Dhawan, who shot for Abhishek Chaubey.
Oh,
And then like some press releases, something like I got to know. But even I didn't know this will be like some 4 hours long. I thought it'll be like what, however, like how these Netflix anthologies are, right? Like some 30 minutes. Or actually, what are these anthologies first of all? Yeah, most of them, like,
as in quality wise.
yeah, I mean, did you see that previous Netflix anthology Ajib
No, no,
Dastans?
I didn't see that.
What horrible piece of,
All,
okay, let's
all,
move on.
all four were horrible.
No. Neeraj Ghaivan was really good. I actually quite liked that one. But the other three were
Who else was
like
in it? I mean, who else directed it?
one was the guy who made this Dharma movie called Good News. The other one was by the guy who made uh, Dulhania, Badrinath ki Dulhania, Shashank Khaitan.
Okay.
And the fourth one was by Kayoze
Kaiser
Irani, Boman
Soze.
Irani's son. Kaiser Soze, yeah. So yeah, I mean,
I think like
all,
their first anthology worked or like it got views at least. So they're like
yeah.
market research.
See,
We have to do
yeah,
anthologies now.
I think it
That's
is more to do with like how much can you like, for people also it's like they're getting to see four films in one single film, right?
mm-hmm.
So apna mentality is also sort of like that na ki let's watch one thing and usme we'll see four films. I think
Okay.
that is the only reason why people are like super interested in it. Otherwise I find no other reason other than like some big name directors in it. Now to
Mm-hmm.
everyone's doing it, right?
Yeah, there's
We've
something
had
coming
Telugu,
up also.
Tamil,
Navarasa.
yeah, a lot of them. Navrasa, yeah, that is by produced by Mani Ratnam, right?
I think he's directing also. I don't know.
Acha, then I'm quite excited. But anyway, like I got to know about like Ray via some release. Even I didn't expect it to be like 1 hour long each film, and now they're putting it out as like Ray series, not as an anthology.
Hmm.
So I don't know. But what did you think about the whole thing? Did
So
you watch
you
the
can
fourth?
like go
Hmm.
over it one by one.
Yeah. You wanna go like chronologically or best to worst or
Yeah, like 1 to 4 we can do.
okay. So first one was what? Forget Me
So
Not.
wait, like so
Like, what did
I
you think?
started watching the first one in this, and then actually I like some time back, like few years back, I had gotten this book called Short Story Collection of Satyajit Ray. Not a
Mm-hmm.
book, like ebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like I started watching this, and but I haven't read it, but I read like
Acha.
maybe it's a very big book, but all the individual short stories are like 5 6 pages. That's it. Most of them, like
Yeah.
maximum will be like 10 15,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them at the end it says this was written by him and published in it's some Bengali newspaper. So it was just a collection of the stuff he had written for some newspaper. So actually, like first one when it started, I thought I had read this. Okay, my food is here.
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello.
हेलो.
Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute.
भैया आपका फूड आ गया जोमेटो से.
Okay, bro, I'll collect it.
Yeah, go collect and come. You eat while talking now. हंगामा है क्यों बर्बाद.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's up? Should I cut?
just chilling.
Should I cut this part or keep it?
No, bro, I'm singing in it. Don't cut it. Put it in the end. Post credit scene.
Whoa,
Marvel,
ho,
TikTok,
ho.
quickie.
Bro, TikTok and all.
Yeah,
Hashtag
dude.
TikTok ban.
Hashtag MX Takatak. Sponsor us.
MX Taka Tak or Movie India.
Movie India. Yeah, Movie India best. Movie podcast is not as good as us. But anyway,
Yeah. Okay, so where did we stop?
yeah, you read a couple of short
Yeah,
stories.
so I thought I had read this first one. Then I went
Uh-huh.
back and checked, and then I actually in that same collection, three of these are there.
Mm-hmm.
So one, three, and four are there in this particular book. So I actually read those. It's very small, like it'll take 5 minutes to read.
Mm-hmm.
So first one was the one with Ali Fazal. What is that called?
Forget me not.
Yeah. So the first thing I thought of when I read it is like there's nothing much in this to make it into a 1 hour
Mm-hmm.
length film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like really it's just a small story, and it's like 5 pages long. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll tell you about it. But what did you think about it?
So actually, I watched it in terms of chronologically. I watched it third. So I actually didn't find it as bad as people were saying it to be. I mean, I didn't like it at all actually, but it's not as bad as Behrupia. Both of which are actually directed by Srijit Mukherjee, right?
Yeah.
But and he's a Bengali. First of all, I'm actually before me talking about this film, I'm actually surprised Dibakar Banerjee and Shujit Sarkar are not the filmmakers uh, making a film on
Do
Ray.
you know
You
more
know,
about Srijit Mukherjee? I don't know him.
yeah. No, so I actually discovered him sometime in early 2014. Like that was the time I had cleared my 12th board exams and all of that. So I was watching films, and at that time I had discovered this guy called Srijit Mukherjee, and I had seen this movie called Baishes Rabon. So I was into thrillers and all those movies at that time. So the first thing that I had seen was Seven. So I was just looking for thriller films in India, right? And this film called Baishes Rabon, this name came up, which people said was very similar to Seven. So I was just interested. So somehow I just got hold of a print and I watched Baishes, which I quite liked. And then I watched this next film, Chotush Kone, which I really liked.
That's the more
And I
popular
still
one,
think
right?
it's
Even I've heard of that.
yeah, and it got some national award for best directing as well. So I actually quite liked it. Like it's one of my favorites because of the way the structural, the stylistic choices in that. So I quite liked that one. So he was, I think, a very good culturally strong filmmaker during that time. And from what I had read, there was also this movie called Hemlock Society, which was quite famous. And then there were some other films as well. So he had already done like some 5 6 films by 2015 or something. But then over years, at least in the last 3 4 years, I've seen a lot of Bengali cinephiles, people who write about films, trash a lot of his films,
Okay.
like literally trash him
Old
as a
the older
filmmaker and
films
his
also.
films. I don't know. I just didn't read about them a lot by them, but the newer ones, especially namely like Vinci Da, um, and there was a film about Subhash Chandra Bose, and all of these films were like supremely trashed by all these Bengali cinephiles. So I mean, I got this thing that probably it's like an inside cultural Bengali joke that I'm probably not getting, or like something that I didn't get it. But looking at both these films, it just felt like he was out of place into directing them. Like if you see a Ray character, like these two can also be placed quintessentially in a Ray world, right? Otherwise, if you detach the word Ray from these two films, um, they can be like standard thrillers, like trashy thrillers, right?
So what
More or
did you
less.
think of the first one? Let's start with that.
Yeah. Let's talk. Forget Me Not. So it's actually not good. Um, but I mean, I could see a lot of potential in there because what he's actually trying to do is portray like a very narcissistic, very self-centered kind of a person in Ali Fazal's character. Some Nair. What was his first
Ipsit
name?
Nair.
Ipshit Nair,
Ipsit
yeah.
Raman
Very
Nair.
peculiar, very peculiar name. But
And
anyway,
what do
so
you
it's
think about
based on,
Ajanta caves, bro?
yeah, I mean, what was that? Like, I mean, it was unintentionally funny. A lot of it was unintentionally funny.
Okay, if you're
But,
listening to this, I think you should go watch it first and then come back. But
I mean, no, don't
yeah,
watch
actually,
this one only.
don't watch it. Don't watch the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense because uh, if I had to be very harsh to this film, which I don't really like to be, I just call it downright insult to Ray because it's that bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because there's nothing redeeming in its quality. Okay, there are some directorial flares in it with that, that camera work, how it moves around towards the end. Because it's a revenge story, but it is actually treated like a revenge story. There's no character that drives. Because if you've seen Ray, like I have not seen like a lot of Ray films. I've seen like some 7, 8 out of his 35 films. But if you see those films, they are very particular to that character, right?
Bro,
And
forget all
those
that. Forget all
characters,
that. Okay.
okay,
Wait, no,
like
forget
forget.
all that. Wait. So, this is what happens in the original short story, okay?
Yeah,
What is his profession in this, Ali Fazal's?
some corporate CEO of a company.
Yeah, so in the original, it's just a guy who's working in an office, okay?
Okay.
What happens is, this guy is introduced as a person who doesn't like to talk to people, okay? He's like a very introvertish kind of guy. His main priority in life is just get work done and then go home and read some thriller like by James Hadley Chase or something like that.
Okay.
So what happens in the beginning is you see this guy. He's going to some bookstore where he usually goes to. It's like a place he frequently visits, and he's buying 5 books at a time. So the story says like he buys 5 at a time, so it lasts throughout the week. Okay. So he buys this and he goes home. That's his usual plan. But one particular time he's at this bookstore, he finds someone staring at him from the corner, like down the row. This guy comes up to him and he says, "Do you recognize me?" And he's like, "No, I don't know who you are." And he's like, we met each other, we hung out together in Ranchi. Okay, this is taking place, I think, in Kolkata only.
Okay. Yeah.
And we hung out together in Ranchi. You were with me in Ranchi. And this guy is like confused. He's like, "Okay, no, you got the wrong person. I've never been to Ranchi in my life." And then the other guy is like, no, we went to Ranchi. And he gives a lot of details. And he starts giving all these details about this guy's personal life, the main guy's.
Yeah.
Okay. And now he's like surprised. He's like, am I forgetting that I went to Ranchi or did I actually go there? Because I don't even have the slightest memory of that. Okay.
Yeah.
He goes back home and then he's like confused by this. And then he meets someone who he usually meets, like a friend of his.
Yeah.
And he just randomly asks him, like, "Do you know what we were doing in the summer of this particular year?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you were in Ranchi." And this guy's again confused, okay. And he calls up like a childhood friend of his. And that guy also he didn't want to call him because he was pestering him for a job because he was going to give that childhood friend a job.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to do that. Okay. But so he didn't want to call up the childhood friend because of this issue. But he's like, now I'm really confused. Like, do I have memory loss or something? And then he calls up. Yeah. So he calls up that guy and he's like, yeah. We were in Ranchi. Like, are you on drugs? Like, how can you forget a whole incident from your life?
Yeah.
And then in the end, it turns out the guy who was pestering him for a job was just doing this to make him look crazy. So he had actually asked the other friend to say something regarding like their trip to
Similar.
Ranchi, because that guy also hated this main guy. And also the guy who he saw in the bookstore was just an actor.
Oh.
So this is the whole short
But
story.
then how does it end?
This is it. In the end, it ends with the childhood friend sending him a letter saying, "See, now you become a big shot. You can't even give your old friends a job. So that's why I pulled this thing on you."
I mean, this is like diametrically opposite to what.
Now
you
look
made
at
it.
what happened in the...
Yeah, but I think that this was more like a conscious decision to base these films into certain settings and then
Right. So what they did is like say so you convert the main guy into some business guy. And so just because he's a business guy, we have to have like 10 minutes of him walking around doing like business stuff in the beginning.
Walking, talking.
Yeah, it's like, where's the CEO? Oh, what about that deal, bro? And it's like complete crap. And it was like bore fest. It was like, for me, this whole thing was cringe. Like that whole section.
Yeah.
And I knew I would like forget whatever is going to happen, ironically.
Yeah.
So I wrote down like just what is happening, because like I knew like after I see this, I'll probably forget the whole thing. And so first of all, like I want to ask, where is this guy from?
Who?
The main guy.
I think Bangalore, right?
Is he from Bangalore? He kept saying Bangalore, Mumbai, I don't know. I think he's from Mumbai, because see, in the original thing, it's a guy who's from Kolkata. And
No, I think he's from Bangalore. I'm pretty sure. That is why he said, na, Bangalore mein they studied with his childhood friend.
But doesn't it make sense? Like if you see in the original, he forgot about a trip he took to Ranchi, okay, from Kolkata. That makes sense. In this, he says he went to Ajanta caves.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds very...
Yeah, that's
very peculiar.
That's very weird, so random and very specific. Like
yeah, exactly, very specific.
He kept saying Ajanta caves, Ajanta caves. Okay, first of all, I don't know where this guy is from. His wife, I think in the beginning she starts off speaking Tamil, I think.
No, she was talking in Kannada.
She was talking in Kannada second time. I think the first time it was Tamil.
Achha.
Like it sounded like Tamil to me.
Don't remember.
So I don't know. So first of all, my first question is, why is it changed from Bengali? Like I don't see any reason why it's changed, okay. And then right from the first scene, it was like pure cringe. Like just that beginning scene of him walking into that hotel rooftop.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? Like first of all, I knew what the original thing is. So I was like, what is happening here? Yeah. I mean, Ali Fazal, like I'm sure you've seen more of his thing than me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's like a good actor, but I thought in this he was like horrible, like just ham level acting, like Razzie award level.
I mean,
like it's like some of the lines he says is like amazing. Like is this one point where he says, "I'm forgetting meetings, people. I'm forgetting people." And another time he says, this is again Ajanta caves. Like, don't you dare say Ajanta. Why does everyone keep saying Ajanta caves?
But didn't you see any potential in the like the lead character kind of being like?
Well, like you see how simple the original story is, and think of like where this thing ended up. Like I don't understand.
No, so I was more of the kind of things that popped up in my mind. So I didn't like it obviously, but at the end of it, I was just thinking, like this character can be that narcissistic kind of a personality, and even if it is going to be presented in a revenge story format, you can at least make the character more interesting. So my idea was more or less based came like, if this is the character that you're trying to put out, if this is how you're going to mold the whole character, why are you just scratching the surface? I mean, why don't you go completely out with him? Like just go all out with him and like make it more and more interesting and not just be very surface level with whatever is happening.
No, but what is this
like,
thing?
I'm forgetting things and forgetting people. That is all right, but just actually do it, rather than just say it. I mean that is what I'm just trying to say before.
No,
also,
I thought,
like there is that
he was acting like some like he trying to do some foreign actor thing. Like he saw some De Niro, Pacino, or like he went to some abroad acting school, like some Lee Strasberg, and he did some like David Mamet monologue, and then he came back and then he was hired for this. And I think he did some foreign movies and all before this, Ali Fazal. So I think
he's done murder on
there's some scenes where it's just like, what are you doing, bro?
No, now that you say about it, it kind of makes more sense, because I didn't think like that before. And if I had to like rank this film, this would come like third and Behrupia would come fourth, but now it becomes fourth automatically.
For me it's fourth. Like I couldn't, it was like cringe, and it was like irritatingly cringe.
I mean, I just thought this had like a lot of potential. But like, let's move on to like Behrupia. What do you think about Behrupia? Because I had a lot of similar problems in Behrupia as I had with Forget Me Not.
Yeah, so basically in the first one, like, so what is the point? Like now you know the original thing, right? So the original thing is just a normal guy and he's like
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
convinced that he has memory loss. Like suddenly there's this weird thing that happens which makes it feel
Yeah.
like just one incident in his life, not everything, not like one period of his life, just one incident he's forgotten completely. Okay,
Hmm.
that was the point of the original story. Like they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
completely mucked that up in the adaptation. Like what the hell did they even
Yeah.
do? Similar thing with this. Like this one, I haven't read the original, but
Berupi, huh?
in this one, like I think the point of it was like the last 30 minutes. Like without even having read it, I can imagine like the original. What
Hmm.
happens is like it's like a makeup guy, and he's like putting on a
Yeah.
character, and then like he gets cursed with a final character, which like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
permanently on his face, right?
Yeah.
Then what was the first
Yeah.
half of it?
I don't know. Even see, that's what my problem is with this one as well. Like what I had with the first one. Like all these unnecessary things become like very overpowering in detail. Like that Ajanta cave. Isme that Rajesh Sharma's character, that manager,
Who's
who
Rajesh
is
Sharma?
like, who was playing Behroop, this guy's boss, na? This
Oh, okay, okay,
Indrashish
okay.
Shah's boss.
Yeah,
Who's like, get him out of this job and all of that.
yeah.
Like that just felt very unnecessary. Like I didn't know if that was even important to the whole thing. Like him getting money, doing that makeup wala part, and then going to that sort of god man. I don't know if you would call that god man.
Hmm.
That is like the main core of the
Yeah, I
story,
thought if they had just
because that.
focused on that, maybe something could happen. But again, this was also like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
high level cringe. Like I was already like
Hmm.
irritated from the first thing. Then like the second thing came up, and okay, I don't know why Netflix chooses like the worst portion of the anthology to begin with. I don't understand. Like you have to begin and close strong. That's like a general rule for everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think people might even make it to three unless they know that this is by Abhishek Chaubey or there's like Manoj Bajpayee in it, and then they straight skip to three, because like one and two, I mean, I have nothing to say about. Like literally, I have nothing to say about it. Like I don't even know why we're.
I mean,
Yeah.
see, like how you said, I didn't like either of these, but I just thought that both these stories had such good potential to be, if not an hour kind of a movie, like but like a 30-minute film for sure,
Hmm.
easily. Because I think now that I'm thinking more about it, like Behrupia ka story had so much more potential than
Can
the
you quickly
Forget
tell
Me Not
what
thing.
the synopsis of that is?
So yeah, so basically what happens is it's about this makeup artist guy, who has a lot of like these, who's sort of like frustrated and with his life, with all these people in his life who are
Hmm.
like absolutely pretentious with him, and he gets a lot of money in inheritance from his grandmother, and a lot of these makeup artist kind of skills. Um, so what he does is he puts makeup on and then he meanders around the city meeting people, and he sort of has this god complex that he needs to become like the best, like a very different personality and overpower and like overtake all these other people as they come. So I mean this is like the basic story, but I don't know if you're setting this film in Kolkata, why don't you have these characters talking in Bengali?
Yeah, I think like one person says some
I mean,
Bengali like for 2 lines, and then it goes back to
it
Hindi.
was absolutely unnecessary to not have these characters talk in Bengali,
Yeah.
because this is so rooted in that milieu and those roots. He's just roaming around in those streets. Then why not have it in Bengali?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it's on a platform like Netflix where you can just experiment with the language barrier,
Mm-hmm.
then why not do it? I mean, it's so stupid to not have these characters talk in Bengali. I mean, that's like the major concern that I have. But I just thought, like in terms of potential, if that character was, see, the story is basically about obsession, right? I mean,
Hmm.
that's the major theme, like the basic theme that is there. But that obsession is literally restricted to a few monologues that this characters have. I don't know what would you like to call that, but whatever, he's just trying to talk to God, and the kind of ending that it has, like that ending is sort of very interesting in a
Yeah, I
way,
mean that's
in a
like the
sense,
only
like,
interesting thing. Like if you want to glean
yeah, like
anything
that,
from the whole thing, it's like there's a makeup artist
yeah,
who's like who's so skilled he can like do make. I mean disguise himself as somebody else, like some
yeah,
real life person, show up at different
yeah,
places and do like deceitful things. and in the end he gets cursed like with another person's face. That's like the crux of it. See,
Yeah.
if I say just that is interesting, but
Yeah.
this
Very
thing
interesting,
from the
actually, yeah.
beginning, it takes on some other tangent. It's like, what is going on? Like, why
Yeah.
is this guy a makeup artist? I
Yeah.
don't understand. Yeah.
I mean, so more than that, both of these don't do any service to Ray or his, the Ray world basically. I think the only kind of tribute that it had was, if I'm not wrong, there's this one shot on top of a building where you can see uh, the city in Behrupia, which is very similar to, which, if I'm not wrong, looks like a shot similar to the one in Pratidwandi, if you've seen that.
Hmm.
So I mean, I
No.
think that is the only. And if you want to add more to it, then the last, the one with the Godman can be like a sort of tribute to Mahapurush, if you've seen that. But other than that, there's nothing that provides any service to Ray or something,
I
because
mean,
it
not
is
that it has to, like, it can be just a normal adaptation, but then,
no
yeah.
normal adaptation for sure, but then it should have like something in common to Ray's world, right? Because this has to be in some way be a tribute to that, right? Because if you're adapting the stories in some way, those characters have to be very similar to what we may see later on, है ना? In a Ray film, not later on, but anyway. Yeah, moving on to the third one, which I
No, but
really
then
really
in
like.
the second one, just before we
Yeah,
go to third one, which is like
yeah, yeah,
pretty obvious that it's the best out of the
yeah,
four.
yeah, yeah.
So like just with the second one thing I thought is like it's kind of like alarming how, say, the poor narrative and like just the material in general, it's like covered up by the cinematography, sound, music, which is all at like top notch level. Like just the conceiving part of it
Wait,
is
but
really good. Like I'm just saying, like,
didn't you think? Didn't you think the second one had a lot of dubbing issues, or was
yeah,
it
no,
just
no, no,
me?
I don't mean dubbing. Like, I'm just saying, like, just
Yeah,
the, say, a build up to a scene. All that is good. Like, in terms of, like, a standalone thing. Like, I'm not saying it works for this. But,
yeah, yeah.
like, the horrible thing, maybe it's taken from, like, 1 out of 10 to 4 out of 10. Just because of, like, okay, this stuff, this part looks good. Like that. And that's, like, kind of alarming how, like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, no, you're right, completely right with that, because it's shot well technically and all of that.
Yeah.
Even the music in the first one, it's really good, to be honest. Like, put it in a different film, it'll still work.
Yeah.
But standalone, these just work as like a trashy thriller, but nothing more than that. That's like
Okay.
that's like the limit. That's like the ceiling where it ends.
Yeah, yeah. So, let's
But
talk about the good one,
yeah, yeah.
which is the
I
third one.
actually
So, what is this one called?
Hangama hai kyun barpa. Just give us a synopsis of the film, no? This one.
Okay, so this one, it's basically, there's a character who's played by Manoj Bajpayee, and he's like a famous musician, like a ghazal musician, right? Or like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like a Hindustani singer basically, and he's like well renowned at that time. And this is like a period film type, so it's maybe like
Yeah, yeah.
19,
It doesn't define it, but
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty obvious.
maybe like 80s or 70s.
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 Looks more like 70s. But anyway, huh?
Yeah, so what happens is this guy goes on a train journey and he's being recognized by people as he's going. And he goes into like this one single berth, and not single, like double berth.
Compartment.
Yeah, compartment. And opposite him is sitting this guy who is an ex wrestler, and he comes in and he almost recognizes him. And so he's like,
as if they met.
yeah, it's as if they met before, and then he realizes that he has met before, again coincidentally in a train compartment long back.
Yeah.
And this meeting happened before he got famous. So before he became famous as a singer, so he was like not well to do, like he was poor at that time, and he was not famous at that point. And
But yeah, I think
yeah,
spare people the details beyond this. I think this is enough.
okay, but I think we have to
So,
talk
how
about
did
the
you-
rest, no? So
But just then, I think that won't be like anything, too much of a detail. But I think that one detail that we were going to say
okay,
may give out a lot, right?
fine.
But anyway, how did you find it? First thoughts
So
about it.
I think you should say first because I have like a lot to say.
Okay, so basically, the one thing that I really appreciated in this was
So this was
so this is
directed
the
by
first.
Abhishek Chaubey.
Abhishek Chaubey, yeah, Abhishek Chaubey. So I think that is a very huge pull for me as a viewer as well, because Abhishek Chaubey is directing.
Yeah.
Because and also he's very smart about the setting also. Because if you would have chosen a very realistic setting of a Kolkata or something, it wouldn't have worked. Because he's already made Ishqiya and Dead Ishqiya, so he's already ventured into that Urdu speaking milieu, sort of, right? That North Indian Urdu speaking personalities, characters. So I think this easily comes to him as a very natural, you know, aspect of it. And other than that, I just really liked. I think the initially, if I just want to say what I really liked, what I'd say is the tone of it. See, it's not outright dramatic or outright thrillery like how those first two films were. It was a little comedic in its approach, which I really liked. So yeah, I mean, what I
Yeah, more
really
comedic than
liked
the
was a
first two.
comedic. Yeah. So this was such a refreshing change, because taking something like this, and it's not intentionally funny. It's just funny in its approach, like very normally funny. So I just chuckled at a lot of places. Other than that, it actually pays Ray a very good tribute in the elements that it uses and the elements that he chose. The train, those two characters talking to each other. So there was a lot of Shatranj ki Khiladi ka flavor in it, in a sense. Those two characters talking to each other, belonging to that kind of a setting as well, in a way. Um, yeah, I think, and above all, I think the acting was like really good. Those visual takes that it goes to, how it cuts to different places where that character is at a position where he constantly is drunk in his own sense of, what would you call that, famous nature, what would you call that,
Mm, entitlement.
what would you call that, bro? Huh?
Entitlement.
Entitlement, huh? But okay, whatever, like, so he's quite famous, and he's very
Like self-image.
magnetic in his personality, huh?
Self-image, basically.
Self image, yeah, yeah. So even when he's talking to himself in mirror, he's actually kind of putting himself out as if he's performing at that moment itself.
Yeah.
So all of those things were very fascinating, were very good to watch. So yeah, your thoughts.
So like the original story is called Baron Baumik's Strange Ailment or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, ailment,
Yeah. So
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So this is kind of the closest it got to the original story out of all the four.
Yeah, it's very sincere in its approach. That's what I read as well.
Yeah, so this is like very close. It's very close. It's that is original also has a singer and somebody else in a compartment, and the same thing, same
Yeah.
series of events happen in that. So actually, like having read the original, this is a very good experience in seeing someone like seeing an actor of like this ilk, like say Manoj Bajpayee or somebody of like that standard, like say Nawaz or
Yeah.
I've never seen someone actually do this kind of actually seen them act after knowing the story or the role. So like going into it, I knew what the character is about, and then I saw him doing it, and that was like very special because two things. Like first thing, I thought it was perfect casting, because once you know the whole thing, you can see why Manoj Bajpayee is a really good casting, because if you've seen his movies, like
Yeah.
he has those two sides, like one which is like the slightly devious, that Gangs of Wasipur,
Yeah, yeah,
that something mischievous about him, that type.
Mischievous,
And
yeah,
on the
yeah.
other side, he's also good at playing this kind of timid character, like in Aligarh and that type.
Aligarh,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
actually plays both in this, because there is the flashback scene and then the new one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Actually, yeah.
and Manoj Bajpayee has like very out of the ordinary type of expressions and body language. Like it's not like he's kind of like finicky, and like he blinks his eyes a lot. That's like his normal thing, and
Yeah,
all of that is used perfectly. So it's like perfect casting in Manoj Bajpayee, and also Gajraj Rao. Like Gajraj Rao, if you think about it, like his off-screen image and like his some past roles have lent him that nice guy type of image, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's actually very interesting when that his nature is kind of changed to like, okay, his guy is actually a wrestler who's like very strong, and then he has a past, and then
Yeah.
in the end, of course, the final thing happens, which okay,
Yeah.
we can say the rest, right?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, like how he
Skip
he,
this part if you haven't seen.
yeah, how he is also a con man type.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So that's like a really good casting
Kleptomania.
choice,
Yeah,
first of all,
to be
because
right.
like there's that
Yeah, yeah.
very affable image, and then like when you go to the flashback, he has like very wide-eyed, like kind of the stare, which is kind of like terrifying. That's like and both of these actors did really well, like especially Manoj Bajpayee. Like I couldn't if you haven't read the original, like go read it. It's just, it'll take you like 5 minutes, and then look at him. Like he
Yeah.
actually elevates like what is there in the original to like another level. Like uh, again, it's like the original is very short, and so like I found myself asking like why is it extended at many points. So it's like, and it's very less has changed. Like say in the original, it's like an alarm clock uh, instead of a watch in this. So
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I don't know why it is extended to 1 hour. I still believe, and if you know like the ending scenes, then I think from the original short story to the adaptation, I think a lot of tension is somewhat lost in extending it, in my opinion. That is, if you have read the original, because that's like a very tight kind of events that happen. But here it's kind of like stretched out. So like parts of it are really great.
Okay.
Some parts it's like it's better in the original because how tight it is.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think even for, although I really liked it, I think even for this, like a 15-minute short film or 20-minute short film would have been the best for it. Like even 30 minutes would be great. And also I liked how so in the original, like the stakes aren't as high. Like you know how
Yeah.
this particular incident of the stealing of the watch becomes like a life turning point for both of them, right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is not there in the original. That in the original is just like a normal incident that happens, and it was a valuable thing to the watch was a valuable thing to the character, but then it wasn't like a life changing thing. So that's, I liked how they made the stakes higher in this, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and also how the watch's name also means lucky. So that's like a good
Yeah.
change they made, I
Sure.
think. And yeah, and also like in one interesting thing is like how in the original short story, like the guy returns his watch, right? Like when he comes
Yeah.
the other guy comes back from the washroom, and he sees him snooping in his bag, and
Yeah.
he returns the watch more out of his own will. This one, it's like he got caught and now he's returning it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know why that change was made, but then I mean it makes sense in this, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying the main character is changed, like from I think uh, the guy's name is Baran Bhaumik, and it's changed to
Yeah,
Musafir
yeah.
Ali in this, who
Musafir
is
Ali.
like a Hindustani singer. So, and I think the milieu itself is changed to that kind of Muslim setting,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
really works for this. Like
I
it's
mean,
much more cinematic. Like I think
exactly.
that is the question that this guy
Exactly.
was trying to ask, like Abhishek Chaubey, like how do I make this more cinematic? Because the original thing is like a very short incident. Like in fact, that's what I said. Like if you read these stories, you would actually wonder why would they make a film out of this? Like even a short film for some of these doesn't really make sense, and I don't know how they thought this would work as a 1 hour thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you're talking specifically with respect to, because you've already read them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, I'm coming from more of a something that I've not read before, right? Except like I knew about Behrupia's short stories synopsis beforehand, but other than that, I hadn't read any of these stories. But I feel this is just my from whatever knowledge I've had about Ray and all of that, from his films also. Musafir Ali as a character is somewhat, has that very, Ray type of quality. I can't explain it in words, but if you've seen his films, you can surely pick out the kind of character Musafir Ali was, right?
Kind of like
And like how
third movie, Apur
sorry.
Sansar, him in Apur Sansar.
Yeah. So I mean, so in that sense, and like how you said, it could have been a short film, like a 30-minute, 30-minute film as well, and it would have still worked in a certain sense. But since I had no idea about it, so it still worked for me for an hour kind of a runtime, because what happened was that awkward moment that was always, it built up to, that tension always stayed with me. Like I
Yeah,
always thought like now he's going to get caught. Now he's going to get caught. Right.
yeah, yeah,
So I mean that part was very, interesting to watch. Second thing, I as I'd mentioned before, was this character was sort of drunk in his own image, self-image, and So that in that sense, and when he cuts to that him actually whenever he's talking to himself, it cuts to talking to a lot of people. I
Hmm.
mean, those parts made it more cinematic in
Yeah,
that sense,
absolutely.
and that is what makes it better.
Yeah, that
I
is the
mean,
best
from that
part
source
of yeah,
material.
that is the best part of an adaptation. Like some people think
Yeah,
that if you you can, the book is always better and all, but that's like bullshit. Like
yeah,
you should see like good adaptations. Then you see like The Godfather, or like even
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
if you see like say Lynn Ramsey's adaptations of like You Are Never
Hmm.
Really Here, Mormon
You
Keller,
were never
and
really. Yeah,
what is the movie? I We need to talk about Kevin.
you need to talk about Kevin. Yeah,
It's like a whole different new experience, like watching this thing. Like
yeah.
the main question I think they ask when something is adapted is like, how do you make it cinematic?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, and I think he really did it well. Like he went through the material instead
Hmm.
of like the last two unlike the
Exactly.
last two films,
Yeah.
which kind of just beautified a lot of it just for the sake of it. This was like, okay,
Hmm.
now this guy is a Hindustani singer, he's a Muslim, and this is like a scenes take place in Muslim backgrounds, and hence like
Yeah.
okay, this guy is explaining in the washroom mirror, and then we had to like audience that he has while he's in concert.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that is like very well done in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's how he like that North Indian aspect of setting that story, and that Muslim background, like how you mentioned, is very justified also in its way of approach,
Yeah,
and it comes off also well because you don't question it. It's all convincing in a sense,
yeah.
like how it wasn't very convincing in the first part, right?
Yeah.
Like everything, that every detail is very specific to that, and it is sort of very natural, very rooted in in a sense.
Mhm.
So I mean, this worked big time for me. And in my opinion, if you don't even watch any of the parts, watch this part. Like this,
Yeah, yeah.
it stands alone as a very good film. So like it pays tribute to Ray in its own sense, and it adapts that source material really well. Even like I was just thinking as well. Um, like Ray had also adapted a couple of books throughout his filmography.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Apu.
it also makes sense like how he made those things very cinematic, and even this one,
Hmm.
very cinematic. So yeah, I think moving on, we can move on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Or do you want to add something more?
No, no, that's about it. Like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
even this, again say, like, it might have worked better. Not might have, I think almost definitely would have worked better as a 30-minute thing.
could have. Yeah, yeah, sure, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the last one, which is directed by Vasan Bala, called
Vasan Bala,
Spotlight. And
Spotlight.
yeah.
Yes.
So, what did you think of this?
Okay, so I'll make it clear first of all. I have a certain bias towards films that are based around films or about film characters or film personalities or something related to that.
Hmm.
So even if it's a badly made film, eventually I am going to like it. I mean, that's just my personal bias towards it. And to be honest, I really liked it. I really, really liked it. Contrary, so I hadn't read any reviews before watching these films. So obviously there was a lot of negative talk about the film. I mean, just by like reading like a couple of lines that come past me in like a couple of headlines that while scrolling, whatever. So I read, okay, this is not good, this is not good. But I really thought like Spotlight absolutely worked for me personally because I think having two cine literate people like Vasan Bala and Harshvardhan Kapoor just meshed really well. I think uh, a lot of people haven't liked Harshvardhan Kapoor in his previous roles as
Harshvardhan
well,
Kapoor, we
like
know you're
Mirzya.
listening, bro.
Yeah, dude.
He's like definitely listening.
For sure, for sure. So, like a lot of people haven't liked Mirzya and Harshvardhan and Bhavesh Joshi, may like Harshvardhan Kapoor in these films, but I certainly liked him.
Hmm.
Like I thought he did good. Like he
Yeah.
was not great, but he was quite good in them.
Hmm.
And I can totally understand if people don't like him also in those things. I mean, I can understand their perspective, but I quite liked him. And Vasan Bala, I think he was quite self-aware about the fact what he was trying to do in this film. So putting him in that meta zone of him pretending to be Harshvardhan Kapoor was also very funny, and it plays on that funny tone. I mean, so like I really like the fact that they were not self-serious. Both these films, this one and Hangama, were not self-serious with the kind of tone and the material they were provided with. And yeah, I think Vasan Bala, as people evidently know, he's made Mard Ko Dard Nahi Hota, which is a very really good film. He's a not just a cine literate person, but also an absolute peak cinephile kind of a personality. So you can see those flashes all throughout those films. You know, there's a clapperboard which says directed by Ramin Malik and DOP's Byomkesh Bakshi, and all these cheeky references that you're going to see. There's literally a scene, like a sort of dream sequence, not really a dream sequence where, but this character Vikram Malhotra, right?
Yeah,
He
Vic
he
something.
he does drugs, and he's just imagining something. So there's this lady who actually names all these Ray films, which I thought there was a very funny scene, but it may not be very funny. You can cringe on that if you don't like it, but I really like that scene. And apart from that, there were like a lot of other references, Big Trouble in Little China and all of that. So stuff like that always makes me very happy when I'm watching. So that's a very personal bias. But if I had to really objectively judge, also, it really works for me as a film. So yeah, how did you like it, or if you didn't like it?
I mean, I didn't like it that much as you liked it. I think it's like okay. I mean,
Yeah.
especially didn't like the last 20-25 minutes of it. I think like that was just,
Okay.
I got very bored. But yeah, I mean, some of the things you said is correct. Like, say, Harshvardhan Kapoor, like, I mean, I have seen like couple of things of his before this, and the last thing I saw was
Yeah.
AK. So I think he's actually
Yeah.
getting
Right.
better in all his. He's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
more realistic in terms of his acting. Like, I think at the beginning the problem he had is like whenever he's on screen, I don't think he had much of a screen presence. It's just like it was just
Yeah.
very bland almost. But I think he's actually getting better and better. And
Bland,
this is
right.
probably his smallest kind of role. Like, not small in terms of length, like just in terms of acting, like very subdued, as opposed to like his earlier
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think I think it's unfair to like criticize him in this.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like rightly so. I admire Harshvardhan Kapoor, and like how you said, like in the other films that he's been in, it's mostly the film and the director who's really overpowered the whole narrative. So there was not too much for him to go beyond a certain point. That's what I feel, and rightly so. He was not very like super great in those roles, considering how performances in those directors' films have been before.
Yeah.
Right. Like in Rakesh Om Prakash Mehra's Rang De Basanti, or even like Delhi 6, all these films had like very good performances, and Motwani, everyone knows how the performances have been in his films. So I think in that sense, the directors and the film have dictated more of the narrative rather than Harshvardhan Kapoor having a certain presence in them. And in AK versus AK, he was like playing a very exaggerated personality of himself. And even in this one, it's I think and I think I'd also like to make an assumption. I think he's very self-aware as a person as well. So what happens is you have to be completely drowned in that certain character to forget certain things that you can do. Like what happens is, I thought even in this one, like if I have to really like nitpick like certain things in his performance in this one, would certainly be like in a certain few things I thought he was like very self-aware to not go beyond a certain point of in terms of pitch of acting. So I think if you would have gone to that pitch also, it would have still worked. I mean, it still works, but in a little bit higher sense also, it would have worked for me. I don't know if I'm able to explain
Yeah, I mean, like
as
in
properly as
scenes
I could
where
have done.
you would expect him to do much more, he's like more subdued,
Yeah,
like he's
yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah,
controlled
yeah.
more than anything else. And
Right, right,
yeah, I
right.
mean, as I said, in earlier roles, I thought his screen presence wasn't so great, but I think it's getting better. Like, I don't see it's still great or anything, but it's definitely better.
Yeah,
Like, you can imagine him as this character to some extent, at least.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
So
I
I
don't have
mean,
much to say about this film in
I think
general. Like,
no,
I'm
like
not
rightly
that
so.
big. I didn't enjoy those
Uh,
cheeky references so much. Like, I thought it was like pretty kind of on the nose. Like, they
uh.
were just saying those references. Like, I didn't think those were jokes that were inbuilt.
I don't know. Like I sort of enjoyed those cheeky moments in itself. Like I thought like, I think then that's very subjective of me to
Yeah, I mean,
really
like a
like
throwaway
those
thing,
parts.
like mentioning the DP, on a clapboard. That's like, okay, only some people are gonna notice that, and therefore that's
Yeah.
fine. But then, saying all the Ray films, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people like it. I don't want to say anything
No,
about
no,
it.
I get it. I get it. Get what you're saying. I mean, I as I mentioned before, only like that's just very particular of me to like those things, and certain set of people won't like it. That's for sure. And like I knew it beforehand. Like I think that's like a very personal thing to me that I like a cinephile is catering it to a cinephile. I mean, that's what I'm looking it towards as. So that is why the intent also works for me in that sense. Um, but I really like that spiraling down into madness also. If I'm really looking into it objectively, like how those fragile egos are really a part of today's you know actors. And so I don't know if how many people listening to it, if they've been around a film set or if they've not been around a film set. So this has just been my experience as well. Like I was around, so I worked around a film set. So those observations are very specific of how that director treats an actor, or how an actor also behaves around the hotel, or um, around a film set. So those are very specific, and I think those are very spot on, directed in that very spot on sense. That director softly approaching the actor, but he can be hard on the other people around the set.
Yeah,
you
but
know
this
treating
that's
that
not nothing.
actor.
It's been done like for so long. Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen it
it's
like
been
100
done
times
before, for
before.
sure, 100 times for sure. But I thought, like, because it was right on 110% spot on of how I just saw the director of the film I just worked in talking to the actor. Like, it was exactly the same. So I really enjoyed, like, the observation was like bang on 100%. Like, obviously it's been done before, the bootlicking the actor, but here it was like not more of in your face, but it was just like actually the real way of how it actually happens.
Yeah, but I mean,
So that is something that
I'll
I.
just say, like, I didn't really laugh or anything. Like, I thought there was some
Hmm,
interesting. Okay, by the way,
hmm,
this
hmm,
is
hmm.
the farthest
Yeah,
adaptation
yeah,
from
yeah.
the original. Like,
Can
there is
imagine. Yeah.
nothing in the original that is similar to this. In the original, the actor isn't even a part of it. It's basically
Yeah, yeah,
about a
yeah, yeah.
family who goes to this particular
I read about. Yeah.
village or town, or I don't remember, and there is simultaneously both an
Hmm.
actor and an old man, not even a god
Hmm,
person.
hmm, hmm.
That's also invented. I guess that's like taking from like
Yeah.
Mahapurush and so on. But then
Mahapurush. Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
there in the original. In the original, it's like an old person who is in the same town, not in the hotel. It's like it's talking about a town rather than a hotel.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this old person is supposedly 126 years old. So instead of people
Oh.
going to visit the actor, people go to visit this guy, and in the end, it turns out to be a fraud. That's like the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've read about a little bit. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you don't see the actor at all. So I don't know
Yeah.
how this can be called an adaptation exactly, but okay. Yeah, but I mean,
But
I
then,
thought he did pretty well in bringing some of the themes, like parallels between the actor and the lady. All of that is fine, but then I didn't really laugh at the jokes or anything. I thought like the pacing was a little weird also, but the only
yeah.
time I laughed in this whole thing is when Gajraj Rao says "I love you." That moment I actually laughed. I was like, what kind of reply? Like,
Not Gajraj or Harshvardhan.
no, it's in the previous one. You
Oh, okay.
might have
Then I'm
missed that.
confused.
It was
What
like
is he?
such a small thing. It was like,
Oh shit. Okay, okay,
he was
okay.
like,
Yeah, yeah. I
if
just
you want to
I
beat me, you
confused the other
beat
thing.
me.
Yeah.
And like he's like offering himself, like Manoj Bajpayee is offering himself to Gajraj Rao, saying, beat me, like you wanted to beat me, right? Okay, beat me. And he's like, hey, I
No,
love
no,
you.
no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just recalled that. Yeah, yeah. I just forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, that's it.
So I mean, yeah. Then, see, if you want to look at Spotlight in the kind of perspective I had, you're probably going to enjoy it as well. Like I was pretty sure, like a lot of people didn't enjoy it purely because they didn't look at it in the
No, I
perspective I had.
actually
Like,
enjoyed it till that point when so a lot of the music started
yeah,
playing and all. I was like, "What is going on?" And like he actually goes to visit that lady.
yeah,
From that point,
yeah.
I didn't really like it. Like till that, I was enjoying it. It was like a great kind of like time pass watch. But then from
Also
there, it
that
became like, I don't, what is this? Like too self-indulgent type of like, what is going on?
exactly. I think that is why the weird pacing also.
Yeah.
I think by the end of it, what I also thought was like it's like weird pacing was not the first thing that came to my mind, but I thought this he could have like made it longer also beyond this. Like this was also an hour long, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought he could like make another 20 minutes of it, of this character just roaming around, talking to people, indulging in himself, indulging in other activities. So I think that kind of thing I could like see, and why that weird pacing also sort of comes into play. Also, there was like a very pushpak reference in the how that hotel ka scene begins, like because it is also based
What
on
was the
hotel.
line? I
But anyway,
forgot. Like
that's
some, he says something, Kamal Hassan.
Kamal Hassan also. Yeah, something is. Are there are like tons of references? They're like, I can't even like begin to talk about, like, I can like talk about it for another 30 minutes and it'll just be movies, 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 movies. So, yeah, I mean, that is also one of the reasons why I liked Ready Player One also, because there were like tons of references to films. Otherwise, do you really think Ready Player One was that good? No, right?
I haven't seen. I haven't seen.
So no, I mean, if I had to really objectively judge Ready Player
Okay,
One,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, I wouldn't like, but that's not the point. So yeah, I mean, for people who are listening to it, do you have anything else to say about
No, I think just
all of
watch the
this?
third one. That's the only thing I'll say. Like third one is the only one even remotely worth watching. I think like the even if you're really into it, like watch 3 and 4, and then if you wanna like
Yeah,
torture yourself, watch 1 and 2.
I mean, yeah, I really liked third and the fourth. I really liked the fourth one, contrary to a lot of popular opinion, because I looked it in a certain sense, certain way. But yeah, I mean, you can really skip the first two and watch the third and the fourth. But overall, I think, in a sense, the third and the fourth one were the only ones that paid tribute, or were done in a very certain sense to, you know, talk about Ray, also the significance of Ray. But the
But why
first two
is it?
ones
Why
were
does
like
it have to
way
be
off.
like? Is it because is this thing made particularly as a tribute, like
I
on
mean,
the
obviously it should
centennial
have been, right?
anniversary of Ray?
Yeah, I think that is the only reason it could have been made, right? I don't think so. Any other. I mean, I am just sort of very disappointed that Dibakar Banerjee was not offered, because he has actually already made a Ray short story adaptation in Bombay Talkies, if
Yeah,
you've
Bombay
seen.
Talkies.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's actually got the license to make it over anyone else, in my opinion. But I think obviously there are like tons of other things that come into play while making a film. So you can't really have complaints if this was made. But I really wish like Shujit Sarkar and Dibakar Banerjee, um, or even like Anurag Basu, were given like an opportunity, a chance to make, or maybe sometime in the future if they're given, because they've been more vocally, admirers of Ray. So yeah. Any closing thoughts, friend?
Um, yeah, I didn't think I'd watch like 4 hours of this. Like, I don't know if I think I regret spending 4 hours of watching time on this thing.
I get it, my friend. I get it. What could you have done in those the
No,
remaining
I
two
mean, I
hours?
could have watched something else or like done stuff in real life, you know.
Like what? Sweeping your floor, or
Yeah, like chilling and all.
chilling and all.
Yeah.
Chal, anyway, I think both of us quite like the third and the fourth part.
No, I liked
So any
only
one of
three. Like,
you,
I don't want to recommend four. I
I
think
like the
if I
fourth one a
recommend
lot.
four to people, like people like get really irritated, especially like the ending part of it. I don't think this is for like a regular watcher. If you are really into films, maybe you'll like it. I mean, even I
I mean,
didn't
I
like that.
quite justified my perspective in that sense. I think, and I think if that is the only reason you would want to watch a film, then that works, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You need any other reason apart from the ones that I've spoken before.
So,
So yeah, I mean, I'll
closing
put out
thoughts.
fourth one for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, closing thoughts.
Huh?
Harshvardhan Kapoor is really good. Please come on the
Yeah,
show.
please listen to it.
I
Come on the show.
I know you're listening. Please just
Yeah, dude.
DM the Instagram page. Yeah.
Yeah. For those who are listening to us, please follow us on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Follow us on Instagram. DM us any recommendations that you'd want us to talk about, or any other suggestions that you'd like to have. We're going to be putting out more episodes very soon. We're going to be experimenting with the formats as well. Please give us feedback. And yeah, That's
Yeah,
it.
we'll put
Khatam.
out a Q&A also. Like you can answer some of the fan questions in the. Okay, I'll cut this part out. Okay, bye.
Fan questions. Cut it. Bye.